In this video, you're going to learn about the Preview app in the MacBook. Preview app is the app that opens up PDF documents and also images inside of your Mac. You can go ahead and download Adobe Acrobat, but I think after seeing what Preview can do, you probably won't need to do that. So let me go ahead and show you. Now this is an app that you don't just open by itself, kind of like Adobe. You don't open it by itself. You open up a PDF document, which opens up the app. If you want the app on your dock, you can definitely find it over here in your Launchpad. It should be right here in Preview. I could drag and drop this down here, but I really don't need to because I'm going to open up the document, which is going to open up this app. So I have a worksheet here for my students that I want to annotate. I want to add some information, and I can do that inside of Preview. So I'm going to double click this document here. My Preview app is going to bounce, and I'm going to open up my document. So this is a free worksheet that I grabbed on this website, and it's on equivalent fractions. So right off the bat, I see my side view here, my thumbnails. You may not see those when you first open up the app. If you don't see the thumbnails, and I really do like the thumbnails, you can go right here in this menu option here, the sidebar display, and then you can click on thumbnails, and it'll show your thumbnails. The reason I wanted my thumbnails here is because I do have the student worksheet here, but underneath that, the page 2 has the answers. Now, when I upload this to Schoology, I don't want them to see the answers. So one of the things that I can do is I can actually click on that second page, press the delete button, and it'll get rid of the answer page. I may want to save this though and create a duplicate so that I can keep the original. So that's another nice thing inside of Preview and inside of a lot of your Apple apps. So I'm going to save this as a duplicate. I'm going to File, Duplicate right here, and it's going to create a duplicate of this, and I'm going to call this Shade in Equivalent Fractions Without Answers. All right, so now I'm going to close the original back here, and here's my duplicate of this document, and I'm going to click on page 2 here, press delete, and now the answers are gone. So I can do that with any document that I open. So if I find an anthology of poetry, but I'm only going to use one poem out of that whole anthology per day, I'm going to use a different poem, then I can go ahead and make a duplicate, delete the other poems, and only keep the poem that I need. And every time I need a new poem, open up the original, make a duplicate, delete the poem. So I can keep doing that and use the poems in that anthology. Another thing that I can do with a PDF document that has a lot of pages and I'm going to only be using one at a time is I'm going to create a duplicate of this again so that I don't mess up the original. And I'm just going to call it, this one I am going to call duplicate. And I said that you could delete the pages you don't want and just keep the one you want. The other thing that I can do, and I'm going to minimize this original, the other thing that I can do is I can drag one of the pages out into the desktop and it creates its own PDF. So if I wanted this answer page by itself, it's its own PDF, all I have to do is drag it out, drop it on the desktop, and there it is. So I'm going to close this out now. I can open up this page, and there is the answer key. So if I click to change the name, fraction, answer sheet, and now I have that sheet by itself. So, and I didn't mess up the original. I didn't have to save the original as I did right now, but I could just drag it out, and it keeps the page. Here's the 2 pages, and if I look at the duplicate, here are, well, this is the answer sheet. It just keeps that. It keeps that second page. Oh, it's up here. It keeps that second page. I didn't have to create a duplicate. I can just drag it out and create its own PDF document, which is really nice. Another thing that I can do with a PDF document that has a lot of pages and I'm going to only be using one at a time is I'm going to create a duplicate of this again so that I don't mess up the original. And I'm just going to call it, this one I am going to call duplicate. And I said that you could delete the pages you don't want and just keep the one you want. The other thing that I can do, and I'm going to minimize this original. The other thing that I can do is I can drag one of the pages out into the desktop and it creates its own PDF. So if I wanted this answer page by itself, it's its own PDF. All I have to do is drag it out, drop it on the desktop, and there it is. So I'm going to close this out now. I can open up this page and there is the answer key. So if I click to change the name, fraction answer sheet. And now I have that sheet by itself. I have the toolbar, the thumbnail here, but up here at the top, I can do quite a few things. First off, I have the I for information. So I can find some information here. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can share this to other teachers like an AirDrop. I can also highlight. So if I wanted to highlight the instructions, color in the equivalent fractions as shown. If I want to highlight that, I can click here. It's going to highlight in yellow off the bat. So that's the default, yellow. But I can definitely choose a different color. But let's just choose yellow. Okay. I can also do other things like strike out or underline. So if I wanted to underline this whole thing, I can highlight it again and select underline. So now there's a line underneath those instructions. I can rotate this image, or this document, whatever it is that I opened, image or document. So if this document or image came in sideways, I can click that rotate button and rotate the image. Okay. But right next to that, at the end, I have a very powerful markup tool. This is called the markup tool. And on the old Macs, the macOS Mojave that you have, this might be a toolbox. It used to be a toolbox, but now it's this pin, this point, which is similar to the symbol on the iPad. So if you open up an image and you go and edit this image, you're going to see on the iPad this markup tool, and you can use the different tools that I'm going to show you here on the iPad as well to mark up this document. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the markup tool option, and I'm going to have all these options over here. So first off, I have the selection tool. So if I wanted to select some text, I can definitely do so and do various things with this. I also have the select an area tool. So let's say I just wanted to grab this image right here. I can go ahead and select this image, and I can go ahead and crop this image, and it's going to leave me that. Okay, I'm going to undo to go ahead and see the whole document. So I can crop by selecting. Okay, I can also sketch. So if I needed to draw a line under here, and I'm going to have to add some color because right now it's in white. So I'm going to change this to red. And I'm going to draw a line here. It's a pretty thick line. But then I want to fix this line. So I just made a straight line. So that's my sketch tool. But I can also draw, if I wanted to, freehand draw. And if I use the sketch tool, if I want, let's say I'm going to draw a circle. As long as I close the circle, it's going to give me a perfect shape. If I want to draw a triangle, it's going to give me a perfect shape. If I wanted to draw a rectangle, it'll do so. As long as I close it, it'll create whatever it thought I wanted to create. So I have that option as well, and I can come in here and delete these objects by selecting them. All right, over here, shapes. So I don't have to hand draw these shapes. I can just go ahead and select them. So if I wanted to put a box across the instructions, I can do so. And right now, I have a shaded box, but I can change the color, the inside color, to none, and I can change this color to something that's not red. So if I wanted to box in these instructions, I can definitely do so. I can even change the width of my box so it's not so thick. Okay, so now I have my instructions right here. And I'm going to get rid of that option, that draw an option. So I can do that. So I can annotate this worksheet in many different ways. What if I wanted to add some extra text, some extra instructions here? Well, I have the text box. And so here it is, and I'm going to add some text inside of here. Double click. Don't forget to watch the video. Okay, so maybe there's a video on equivalent fractions that I want to go ahead and remind them to watch, so I can add some instructions here. Next to that is signature. If I wanted to drop in my John Hancock down here at the bottom or anywhere on this page, maybe this is a document that you have to find and you have to sign. Well, you have the option to insert a signature. I've already created my signature. All you have to do is click create signature, and you have two options pretty much to do this. You can use your trackpad and try and create the signature. Once you click and it starts writing, the moment that you click, and you can create your signature. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to press this any key to get out of there, and I'm going to cancel that. But I can also use my camera on my device and maybe write my signature on a piece of paper and put it on top of here, and it's going to capture my signature. Okay, so it'll capture my signature, and then I can insert it into any document. I've already done that. I have my signature here, so when I click it, it's going to drop it on the document, and then I can go ahead and enlarge this, and that's my signature. It's my original document, or it's a document for my class if I wanted to do that. Or I'm signing a contract, whether it's a personal contract or whether it's a school contract, something that I have to sign some document, I can go ahead and do so and insert my digital signature there. So I have all those options, or those options in the signature. Okay. The other option that I may have is to write a note. So if I needed to write a note about a specific problem, I can click here and write a note. Don't forget to shade in the fraction. Okay, so when I click out, it makes that note smaller. I can move this note over here. So if the kids had this document, they can click on the note and it opens up for me. Okay. When I add text, I have the option. So I'm going to click this text box. I have the option of, right here, changing the font. So I can increase this, decrease the font, bolding it, italicizing it, underlining it, centering it, whatever it is I need to do. I can even change to a different text if I wanted to. Okay, and the color. So if I wanted this to be red, if I wanted this to be blue, if I wanted this to be green, I can definitely change the color of my text. A lot of different options that you have. So the annotate feature in Preview is probably a lot better than the annotate feature in Adobe. And your signature is your original signature too, because you can write it and capture it with the camera versus the Adobe signature, which is kind of made up. So it makes up its own signature. You can have your real signature embedded into your document. Okay. Now I made all these changes on my document. I need to make sure I save it, so I can do a file save, or I can also Command S. For those of you that like shortcuts, Command S, and it saves the file. I can keep this as a PDF, or I can also export this as an image, which is really nice. And so if I would have also brought up an image and I wanted to save it as a PDF, I can do so with Preview. You can't do that with Adobe. So how do I do that? I'm going to go to File. Down at the bottom, I have the export option. So I'm going to go ahead and export. And I'm going to choose my desktop. And here I have the format. So right now it's a PDF, but I can go ahead and click on there and I can change this to a JPEG or an HEIC, which is like a phone, an iPhone type of file, or a PNG. We usually recommend PNG. And it starts you off with 72 pixel resolution. That's not too bad. I probably wouldn't go any higher than 100, especially if you're going to upload it to Schoology, because I think 100 is the limit on that. And I can definitely change this to the centimeters if I want. But I'm going to change it to 100. I'm going to say click Save. It's going to save this image now. It's going to be an image in my desktop. So maybe I want to add this image in the Schoology folder. So I went ahead and do that, saved it to an image. So I have my file, PDF, it says so right here, but now I have my image. When I double click this, it still opens up in preview, but now it's an image. Okay, I can expand this, and I can still use these tools right here. I can't use the highlight tool because that's for text, but I can use some of the markup tools in here. So if I needed to scribble inside this image, I can do so. If I needed to add some text, I can do so. If I wanted to put my signature, I can do so. I have quite a few things. I have filter options here where I can change some of these colors, adjust these things. Down here, over here, I have the adjust the size. I can go ahead and change the size if I wanted to, and it'll keep it proportionate. Okay, I can also change the color of the different things that I'm adding to here, and I can add a quote if I want, an image description. So fractions worksheet. Okay, this would be for those places that ask for visually impaired descriptions. I can go ahead and add it in there. And I Command S and I can save all this stuff. So now I have an image that I can upload anywhere, website, Schoology, wherever you're putting your stuff. Okay, so I'm going to open up Schoology because how do I even use this stuff? After I've done all these annotations on this PDF, how do I get it out to the students, right? So inside of Schoology, I'm going to add a new assignment. And of course, I'm going to fill out all the information that this assignment needs, title, instructions, all that stuff. But one of the options now in Schoology is that I can annotate, or I can add an annotations assignment. And this can be a Word doc, it can be a HTML document, it can be a JPEG, a picture like the one I just created, a PDF, a PNG, a PowerPoint, any of these file types. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Annotate Assignment. And I'm going to add that PDF, and it's right here. And so now students will have access to this. Each one of the students will receive their own copy. I can add a due date. So let's say this is a Monday assignment. This is going to be a math practice assignment. And if I wanted to, I can select the standards right here. I can select if they're going to comment or not. And if I select standards, I probably want to turn on my statistics so I can see the mastery options for the TEKS that I'm inserting here and the grades that I give these students to see how well they mastered. I can click create, and so now every student would get a copy of this document that they can use the annotate features inside of Schoology, whether they're on the iPad or on the MacBook, and they're able to go ahead and click submit. That document will open up, and then they're able to fill in that worksheet. So that's a quick preview of the Preview app. Again, you probably don't need to install Adobe anymore. And if you do install Adobe, it will probably become your default, or you probably already set it as your default PDF document app. But if you wanted to, you can go ahead and right-click on a PDF. And instead of selecting, the Adobe would be your preview. Down here, it should say Preview as one of the apps that you can open it with. You can go ahead and select Preview and open it up in Preview instead of Adobe, okay, if that's what you wanted to. If you have any questions on this app, please be sure to contact your Instructional Technology Specialist.